Isaiah 53:7 is possibly the most challenging verse for me, just personally. The passage is arguably the most descriptive prophecy of Jesus anywhere in Scripture, and it describes Jesus in his brokenness and in his pain, emotionally, as well as the pain and disfigurement he endured physically. But verse 7 says something rarely ever spoken of, if at all. In fact, it is a detail mentioned twice in a single verse, and the only detail mentioned twice in the whole of Isaiah 53, which from a scholarly view is extremely significant. It says this, "Yet he opened not his mouth." Isaiah 53:7 uses the behavior of sheep in the hands of their shearer to describe the actions of Jesus while in the hands of his executioners. The sheep's behavior is passive, non-resistant, completely submissive to its shearer. And in the same manner, Jesus was complicit, non-resistant, and submissive to his executioners. Jesus' executioners, though, was not Rome. They were his brothers, leaders of Israel, men who should have welcomed him and loved him. And at one time or another, we have all been falsely accused by our peers, friends, or even family members. You may have been punished unjustly or had your character assassinated. And most people, if not all, have known the loneliness of being ostracized and marginalized by those around us because of lies or complete misunderstanding. The truth is, we have all, to some degree, large or small, suffered unjustly because of false accusation and mischaracterization. I once heard it said that in a conflict, the first weapon used is words. And likewise, words are the very first thing we use to defend ourselves in a conflict. It's human instinct to defend oneself against false accusation and mischaracterization, especially if our livelihood, our character, our freedom hang in the balance, or God forbid, our life is on the line. And this was exactly the place that Jesus found himself in, with his life hanging in the balance due to lies. Jesus was surrounded by those supposedly delivering justice, but in reality, he was being put to death unjustly. We know that Jesus died to pay the debt for our sin, that he was innocent and took the blame for our evil. And that is certainly the deeper, miraculous story behind what's on the surface. But it's what's on the surface that I want to focus on for just a moment. On the surface, Jesus died because of false accusation at the hands of those whom should have loved and embraced him. It is a deeply saddening plight to think of. I've personally been falsely accused, misunderstood, mischaracterized, and marginalized by people whom I thought loved me and cared about me, or at the very least had my best interest in mind. It's a deeply hurtful thing, and there isn't anybody who would not leap at the chance to defend themselves. There isn't anybody who would be silent in the face of false accusation, lies, and character assassination, except for Jesus. Isaiah 53:7 says that Jesus, in the presence of his accusers, opened not his mouth. Jesus didn't say one word to defend himself, not one. The only words he spoke was just before his last breath. "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And Joseph spoke similar words to his brothers in Genesis 45 after they had sold him into slavery some 20 years previously. He said, "Brothers, do not be afraid. It was not you who sent me here, but God, to make a way for us all." And Joseph, like Jesus, saw and understood the bigger picture. In the mind of Jesus, the bigger picture was you and I. He remained silent and took the blame for us. And for you and I, the bigger picture is that God is our defense. When we have spoken the truth, and if we feel we have done nothing wrong, then we should remain quiet and remember what David said so many times in the book of Psalms. God is my defense. The bigger picture is that in the midst of it all, we cannot see the end, and we don't understand what God is working out on our behalf. The only thing that we can do to stop God's plan is put our plan into action. Give God control in the situation. If you're like me, when you feel an injustice is being done to you or people are coming against you wrongly, your first reaction, like me, is to strongly defend yourself. But then I hear the voice of the Lord speaking to me, do not open your mouth. I will speak for you. And when God is speaking on your behalf, it is imperative that you don't interrupt him. If you're like me, you've been hurt enough in life that you're determined to defend yourself because you feel like nobody else will. But if you trust in the Lord, he will be your defense. If you remain silent, he will speak into the situation on your behalf. Be patient, and God will show himself strong. Romans 8:31 says, if God is for us, then who can be against us?